my way. Got found again the next day. Needed a change from all of that same. I lit a big fire just to watch a flame. Cut my hair, painted it gold. Oh, marigold. Oh, marigold. Music like blood, music like bone. When I can't find my way home, trying to get out of my own way, keeping those wolves at bay.
How are you?
Oh my God, look at you.
What's that?
I love it. So exciting to see you, Annie Keating.
It's so exciting to see you. I've heard great things. I'm sorry if the light's a little weird.
No, it's so good.
It's more about the audio, I figure, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, to make matters more exciting, I was talking this morning to my Nashville photographer friend, Jeff Fasano. And I said, I don't know if you know Annie Keating. I'm going to talk to her. And he just went on how great you are. So now I'm even more pumped.
Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, he did that. He was with me in the early days when he was in New York. We had some great photo shoots in Dumbo.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, say hi to him for me.
Absolutely.
Very talented guy.
Oh my God, Annie. But speaking of talent, like Bristol County Tides, I just need to say it out loud because what a masterpiece there, Annie, that you released on the world.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Absolutely. I mean, it's set for release on June 4th. I had a chance to preview it, of course, and it's just stunning. I mean, from the first notes of Third Street to Goodbye, it's just a journey, Annie. And it actually, I know you hear these comparisons all the time, but it reminded me of the first time I heard like Lucinda Williams' Car Wheels on a Gravel Road.
Oh, that's the greatest. That's the greatest compliment.
Like that, like spark in your brain, or the first time I heard that Alison Krauss and Robert Plant album. Like I was thinking, when's the last time I felt like this? And those were the two times that came to mind.
That makes me feel so great. Thank you so much.
Of course.
It really, it's a big album. There were 15 songs, and it definitely was a pandemic journey. I'm glad I think you used that word, that, you can kind of feel from start to finish. Each song is sort of different, but it comes from an authentic place and kind of the same place in a way. Yeah.
Absolutely, Annie. And before we get to some of the amazing songs, let me just ask you about the band really quickly, because
Sure.
I mean, the band is part of it. What a great band! I mean, Teddy Kumpel, producer and player for most of the songs, and Joe Jackson, guitar player. You also have Teddy, who played with Ricky Lee Jones as well. So you have all these amazing bandmates, Annie. So I guess the question is, and Steve Williams, the drummer too. I guess the question is, knowing that these talented folks are so good and their repertoire and their resume, is there like an audition process, or is it more like, I know what you guys can do, like we can get on with it?
Yeah, that's a great question. Every record's different. So this is my 8th full-length release, but I've done 10 if you include the 2 EPs. And for this one, it was a slightly different process. Teddy Kumpel and I had worked together on my Water Tower View album years ago, and I loved his playing. He's got this touch that I've really never found in another guitar player, and creativity in terms of the parts he comes up with. And my normal group of players that I've played with for like the last 5 years, they weren't in town because of the pandemic. So
Right.
Teddy was, and I thought, well, why haven't I been working with Teddy for years anyway? And I picked up the phone, and I gave him a call, and I said, I have like these, at that point it was 12 or 13 songs, demos, and I need help. I need a producer, a great guitar player. He listened to everything, and then he made much better sounding demos with really amazing guitar. He took my arrangements and knocked them out of the park in the way that only he can do. And then he said to me, will you trust me? And I said, of course. He said, I know the band for this. I know exactly who should play
Nice.
on this record. And you just have to trust me. I'm gonna see if my top picks are in town, would be available to record in December. And sure enough, all three were. So that's how we got the core band, and blown away by their talent. It
Yeah.
was such a easy, like butter recording experience. We just got into the recording studio, and they're such professionals and they're so soulful, that really by the time we'd done the third take or the fourth take, we had it, no overdubs. It was like old school, live, let's just get it right. And we got it by the third or fourth track.
Amazing.
They're that good.
So they can kind of like tap into your vision more
I
easily.
mean, completely. And, I think like sometimes the sign of a really incredible player is like they could do incredibly complicated stuff, but sometimes it's just simple that's called for. Sometimes not, but they don't overplay. They play exactly what's needed. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And really respect the song and what the song is trying to say, the feeling of it. And they got that right away. I mean, really,
Yeah.
I was so fortunate to work with these guys.
Yeah, the chemistry is obvious, the musical chemistry there. And let me ask about a few of your songs, Annie. I mean, normally I like to talk first about the biography and like go back, but your album is so good, I can't wait. I just gotta get to it. I mean, Third Street. I mean, it's obviously the first song, but it's, high energy. It's a great opener. And I love the characters, right? Because, the chase the driver that goes out too fast, out of state plates, Dwayne over the edge, the dude as sweet as can be, all these people in the town. I mean,
It's all true.
the guys having fun drinking Miller at noon. What
I
I love,
love that I love that you really listened. You really listened.
oh,
It's all true. It tells a true story.
really?
Yeah.
Tell me about it, because it reminds you of like Garcia Marquez or some of these books that are like whole universes, right?
Yeah. Well, what happened was, my mother has this wonderful like house, this cottage in Massachusetts, in Bristol County. And I've been there over the last 20 years. I love it, but I'd never spent, more than like 2 weeks there. And when things got really bad in March last year in Brooklyn, I said, we've got to get out of here. They're like body bags on the street, and it's too much. So we were lucky to have that house, and I relocated my family there for what we thought would be like maybe 2 weeks. I mean, everybody thought,
It was 2 weeks,
and
yeah.
it ended up being 3 seasons, 5 months on this dirt road. And so a couple things happened. I mean, one, I didn't know anybody. I couldn't play live shows. I couldn't do my work. I had this one nylon string guitar that I threw in the car. And so there was a real sense of isolation at first, right? I mean, we all felt isolated during the pandemic, but I didn't know anybody there. And like I said, I couldn't really do my work, teaching, anything. So there was this vast amount of time that opened up. And I think sometimes creativity emerges when all else falls away and you have this time. You know what I mean? My kids and I were like painting at night, and we just kind of like got back to basics in this way. And then another thing happened, which is I think in times of real hardship and isolation, you can connect very deeply with the people who are around you.
Sure.
So I ended up befriending several people on this road, and it became this like intense, fast community that we were like accepted into. At first, we had the out-of-state plates, and they were like kind of suspicious, like, what's this New York car pulling in on the dirt road? Like,
Right.
Do they have coronavirus in the car? I mean, like, what,
Yeah, I remember that time. Everything was on the table. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, but we slowly, like I showed that I'm a kind person, and kind of got my way into the hearts of people on Third Street, and all those people became friends. So the guy, Dwayne, he is in fact that dude who, really nice guy, but he will, if you go more than 5 miles an hour and you're kicking up dust like into his house as you enter Third Street, he'll come chasing you, and he will flick you off and chase your car. It happened to my brother several times. And then there's Dean, who I saw every morning. He's like works on his boat, no shirt on, just like big smile on his face. I don't know. He's probably like 70. I said 73 in the song. But just the nicest guy and always like chatting with me in the morning. And then there's a famous chef, Chris, at the end of the block.
Yeah.
And he ended up cooking us meals, and we had bonfires, and he ended up teaching me and my son about the tides and the river, and I got a boat, a little aluminum hull Zodiac, and learned my way up the river and out to sea. So it was like this journey of learning the tides and the river, and the city girl becomes country girl. My dog learned to swim. My boy learned to fish. It was like it was a whole
So
epic.
cool.
Yeah.
So cool. It almost sounds like you're a new Annie in a good way from the pandemic. Like you made the best of it, like on a spiritual level almost.
Yes. I mean, I will say this year has tested me in like all kinds of intense ways. Lots of things going on in my life, but I think for sure I have emerged. When we get tested, it's what do you do with that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
like, are you gonna kind of let it defeat you, or are you gonna rise and kind of grow, right?
Right.
It's all about change. You can't stop change. And then it's just embracing growth. But I think, for most of us in the pandemic, right? You look at most people gain 15 pounds or lost 15 pounds.
Mm.
Their marriages got tighter, or they, got really tested, or they get divorced.
But they got
Like,
divorced. Yeah.
it's like a lot of extremes happen in
Yeah.
in these kind of times, right? But for me, it was a creative growth period extreme, and I'm very grateful for that.
Amazing.
Yes,
Great.
yes.
I love
Because
it,
like
Annie.
the other thing I say about like the songwriting process, there's some songwriters like John Hyatt who is like, I think I read this in an interview. He sits down every day and he writes for like 5-6 hours, and he'll be
Yeah.
like, oh, there's a song.
Like the
For me,
discipline.
it's like an alchemy. It's like a magical process. I don't know. I don't have control of it like that. So I can go for a year, which I had done before I got to Massachusetts, without writing a song.
Yeah.
Then I can have 15 songs come in 5 months. And it's
Absolutely.
not, you know what I mean? So I just kind of have to respect that process and get out of the way a little bit,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. And I love that you're so clear about it. I mean, here in Nashville, they're so academic about it, and there's a respect to that. They can be 6 months changing a word or two, but the
Right.
alchemy of it is a beautiful thing. Absolutely, Annie. Yeah.
Well, also, I mean, I respect discipline. I do try to sit down every day, but it's like I write from a very emotional place. That's
Mm.
just how I do it. I can't do it any other way. So if that emotional place gets stirred up, and I'm dealing with a lot, it comes out in the songs. Um, Everybody has their different way of telling a story, and
Sure.
their creativity, but that's my way, I guess.
I love it, Annie. So Blue Moon Tides that you kind of alluded to, it's perfect. Another standout. I mean, for a song like this, that is like the musicality of it is like so unique. It's so beautiful. The rhythm, the blues, it's like the backbone of it. Did that come before the lyrics? I mean, I know it's a cliche question, but
No,
I I had to ask it because it's like both are so unique. You know.
Thank you so much. I think it's a great question. Usually both are always kind of at some level coming the same time. Even if I don't have the exact lyric, I'm kind of wrapping like some syllables around the rhythm I'm building. So,
Right.
I would say on that one, mostly I was fiddling around on the guitar, and I had this kind of like cool thing that was happening, and then I was playing with words around it. Because the words, I think some people don't realize like there's rhythm in the words and in the syllables and how the
Yeah.
syllables land. And so for me, they can never be entirely separate, because it's got to kind of wrap itself around that rhythm. The melody has to.
Right.
But I would say like the stuff that I was doing on the guitar grounded that tune.
Yeah.
At first.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the things I love about the album, Annie, but I'm an old school guy, right? It's a rich, full album. It's got 15 songs, I think, and you find these jewels along the way, like Marigold, that like on repeat listens, like the third, fourth time they sound better and better.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
absolutely. But does it kind of worry is not the word, but like this new game of social media and like Spotify and streaming where it's like the quick hit, right? And the single, new single Friday, and then people forget about it in 5 minutes. I feel like, your album is a masterpiece. And like, how do you feel about that? Like that juxtaposition of like society's like short,
Yeah.
attention span with like a good full album like you're releasing?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I think I know that I have attention deficit disorder with Spotify. I mean, I'm old school too, and I love listening to albums. But like now, what do? I go to an artist, I click on a song, 10 seconds, like, don't like, click on the next song. I don't, so I do think it's a problem. Well, I think that platforms like Spotify are great because they allow us to access so much music, and they allow
Sure.
independent artists like me to not necessarily have a record label behind them to be able to like get music out there to way more people, um, because of these music platforms.
Yeah.
The downside is we don't get paid. Like, 40,000 streams on Spotify and iTunes will buy me coffee and maybe a donut. And that's not sustainable. And yes, I think you're right. I do worry about the sort of streaming, social media. So much is coming at us all the time at once that our attention is not there the way it used to be when you'd get an album, you'd go home and you'd listen to it, and then you listen to it again, you read the liner notes. And I don't know what to say about that. I mean, I hope that, if the quality and the music is good enough, it cuts through the noise and
Yeah.
people will be like, wait, maybe I'll slow down and I will listen to another track, and they'll get kind of inside that world of good music. I just have to hope that if the music's good enough, it'll cut through the noise.
And it will. I'm a firm believer of that camp as well. 100%.
And also like in terms of what you were talking about, I can't play that game of like, oh, maybe I shouldn't release it as an album. Some people were saying 15 songs, it's too much, release it as 2 albums, or do all this like taking apart and release this song here. I'm like, no, it's of a piece. I can't. Like, this is a journey. And if I end up losing some, attention or Spotify play or playlist potential, I don't really care.
And
I
you've
would
always been
rather
so authentic to yourself, Annie. That's just who you are.
it,
It's
yeah,
why
I
it's why everybody
yeah,
loves you. BBC fans, everyone. That's just, you can't change who you are.
nope, that's true. That's true.
I love it, Annie. Look, you're being so generous with your time, but I do want to ask you a couple more questions. Tell me a little bit about your songwriting, Annie, as far as like when you were like a young girl. I find this fascinating because I can tell you've been writing for a long time.
Mm.
Um, were you into books? Were you into songwriting as a young girl? Because this is really amazing stuff what you do.
Thank you so much. That's another great question. Yeah, I started playing guitar when I was like 12 years old. I remember I
Okay.
had a friend named Emily, and she lived in Belmont, Massachusetts. My second record was called Belmont, and it
Mhm.
was about learning, growing up and learning to play guitar. And um, the minute she taught me those first few chords, I was like, okay, yeah, this is what's sort of been missing. I get this and I want to kind of run with it. So I was like writing songs when I was 12, 13, 14 years old. Um, a big influence for me at that time, kind of strangely enough, was Neil Young, because
Mm.
he was just really raw and vulnerable. I've always been, like I said, I write from an emotional place. So I've
Right.
been drawn to writers like that. I mean, John Prine is like my current favorite. And the last song he wrote, I Remember Everything, before his life was tragically lost to COVID. I can't stop listening to it because it has this sort of honesty and this uh, raw vulnerability that really
Yeah.
compelled me. So I was writing songs. They weren't great though, because
Of
they were
course.
pretty terrible because I was 12 and 13. And I kept doing that into college. I went to Brown University, and they had a really cool club that I used to play at.
Mhm.
I think it was called the Underground. And I wanted to keep doing music when I first moved to New York, but I got involved in nonprofit NGO political work. And
Sure.
I thought, I got to give back to the world, and this is what I should be doing. And then fast forward, I was busy, busy, busy for years playing guitar, but not doing it as my profession. And then my daughter was born when I was 30, and I said, what am I doing with my life? All I've ever wanted to do is make records.
Right.
So that was the great moment where it was like, okay,
You saw
uh,
the light.
I can stay home with her, which I needed and wanted to do, and then I can do music. And that gave me the courage. And so I didn't really start professionally very seriously till I was 30. But to be honest with you, I wrote in my 20s a bit. I journaled. I had like sort of song sketches. it just wasn't good enough. You think you're ready when you're ready. And that was, that was the time when I was ready to kind of really dig into it.
Yeah. Well, it
But I don't
came.
know if I answered your question about the process of, did I, about writing or?
Yeah, no. I mean, I was curious about how it started. So, I figured you had started so young because you're so good at it. But if it came in your 20s, it came in your 20s. So,
Well, I think starting young it is not insignificant because it's in your muscle memory, it's in your fiber, and I never
right,
really stopped. I just didn't do it professionally. It was more of like something I did for myself and for friends and family.
sure,
But that's still, um, I think those songs were percolating, and I was working on finger picking skills and rhythm strumming skills and trying to get my chops
yeah,
a little bit in my 20s.
yeah, sure, absolutely, Annie. And let me ask you about this, and I'll let you start your weekend in the right
No,
foot.
you can ask me as much as you want. I love it.
Thank you, Annie. You're such a great live performer. I mean, internationally, I mean, you've performed all the big festivals, the Root in Netherlands, Glasgow Americana Festival. We can go down the list. In Brooklyn, the Indie Music Fest. You just rock that stage, and that's you're meant for the stage. How? And I ask this now, like on the side of positivity, because I feel like we're closer to return to the stages. Um, what are some of the things that you miss the most about performing? Obviously, like the crowd and all that, but like what are the little things that I'm not a performer, like what are the little things that you just close your eyes and you just miss and you're excited to get back out there?
Yeah. Oh, what a great question. Um, the energy, the connectivity. There's nothing like
How does
that.
that feel, Annie, that energy?
I mean, it's like it's the closest thing you get to having sex with somebody when you're not having sex with somebody. Not to be
Ah, I love
whatever,
that. That's a great
but
quote.
it just is. I mean, because there's no other. You're communicating without a language. The language is sound, the language is vibration, the language is body language. Like my drummer will read my body to know when I lift my guitar up like this, then 2 beats later I'm going to come down and it's going to be the end of the song, and he's going to do what he needs to do. It's all about feel, touch, energy, and when you get it right and the audience is like on fire about what the band is doing and we're on fire with each other, and that communication is flowing just the way it should flow,
Right.
there's really not much that's better, because it's like you're sharing this gift of like, oh, we made this, and I want to I want to share it and see if it impacts you or makes you feel something. And then when the audience does feel something, it's like this big
Nice.
party.
Yeah.
Because I mean, for me, the goal of songwriting, it's not just to tell a story or to share a feeling, it's to have an impact. Like I want to make you feel something. Like that makes my day that
Yeah.
you told me that you listened to this record and that
Oh,
you
it's amazing, Annie.
it made you feel
Oh,
something.
and buckle up because after June you're gonna hear it on a daily. It's just spectacular.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
So I really miss live shows. And I'm hoping that I can do a European tour in the fall or spring. But there's a lot of artists backlogged is the tricky thing. You know what I mean? People who've
Sure.
been working.
Sure.
We'll get back to it though.
We'll get back to it.
And it came after the last pandemic, right?
What?
The Roaring Twenties.
Oh my, yeah. I mean, you can already like kind of feel it. I
So
mean,
I'm hoping.
yeah,
Sorry, the dog's barking. I'm hoping that it's just going to be
yeah.
2022 is going to be lots of music, lots of live music and celebration that
It's
we
gonna
we
be
got
it's gonna
through
be
this.
intense. It's gonna be insane. I love it. Annie
I know.
Keating, you have said it all, Annie. What a pleasure to have you on the show. I mean, I can't stress it enough. Bristol County Tides. Thank you, because we've been listening to it for 4 days nonstop, and we just can't stop
Do you
smiling.
have a
Finding
favorite song? I'm
what's
always
that?
curious. Do you have a favorite song?
Oof, so
Tough
many.
one.
Tough one. Tough one.
Well, I will say the song "Kindred Spirit" is just out today as a single.
Right.
So that's kind of cool. As you mentioned, the full album is not going to be released till June 4th. You
Yeah.
can pre-order it though on the website, on my
Yeah.
website. Um, and
What's your website? What's your website, Annie? Mhm.
www.anniekeating.com.
Perfect.
And the pre-order is for a hard copy signed CD, but you can also email just the contact page directly, and I can send digital download version if that's what people like.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
thank you so much. Maybe next time I'd love to do it again. Maybe I could play a few tunes because
Would love to. I mean, would be honored. I mean,
that would be
anytime
so
you're
fun.
welcome. It'd be an honor,
Yeah.
Annie. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get closer to release. Like Teddy could come over. We'll play some of the tunes acoustically. Be super
We'd be
fun.
honored. It would be our honor, Annie. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Bye-bye.